Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome back to one of my videos. Today we are going to be talking about the Lorraine 40T French medium tank, and it is a tier 8. Starting off, we are going to be playing on Rockfield, which is a decent map for this tank. As you will see, it does have some very good outcomes, along with some tips and tricks, and how to master this tank. Now, I could actually not get a mastery for this tank in the time being. I do have some on my account overall, but since this is a very played tank and very, very hard to actually master, I could not come up with any masteries over the past day. Now, I'm going to be pushing towards base C and always stopping in that bush to make sure that there are no enemy tanks that are going to be crossing. Now, I will talk about the weaknesses of this tank first before I talk about the upsides. Some of the weaknesses include the terrible camo rating, as this tank is such a big profile. It really doesn't hide very well in bushes. As soon as you shoot, you pretty much lose all of your camo rating, and you need to be ready to get shot at. So whoever you're shooting at, if it has a very large caliber gun, I would suggest to back up. One of the other disadvantages of this tank is its horrible armor profile. The thickest part on this tank is probably 50 millimeters thick, and that is even angled. The issue with that being a T-49, any Russian tier 8 heavy tank, pretty much anything in the game with high explosive can penetrate you. And that's through the front, even through the turret. So that is not very good, judging that this tank is so large. It just doesn't cope well. Now, one upside this tank does have is a very abundant hit point pool. It has almost 1,600 hit points, so its lack of armor can be made up a bit with the large amount of hit points. Now, one bad thing about this autoloader is that once you shoot off the 4 shells, it does have a 19.9 second reload, which is very long. Pretty much any tank that is fast and can chase you down will take at least 1,000 hit points off you, if not more. And then when you're shooting at them with your 2.5 second interval between each shell, you probably won't actually be able to kill them just because your shells take so long, as you can see when I'm trying to clip out this SU-152. Now, I do really like the gun on this tank, but this tank is very, very, very hard to master. It took me 200 battles to just master this tank and learn how to actually play it, because it is just such a challenging vehicle to learn. A very skilled player in it can do well, but the only unfortunate downside for me was that since I have not played this tank in probably 5 or 6 months since it first came out, I had no clue how to run this vehicle. I was pushing way too aggressive. It took me at least one day to actually get some good games out for you guys to watch. Ahead of time, I do want to apologize that I haven't been making videos for the past week, and that is because I was in Colorado for a business meeting. I am back now, and I am going to be continuously uploading videos for you guys to watch. But back to the replay. The next video or replay is on Naval Frontier, and I'm going to be pushing to the medium bush, or tank destroyer bush as some may call it. I could have snapped that shot into the low, but I didn't. One thing I will say is this tank does have 8 degrees of gun depression, which is very good, and you can see that the accuracy of the shells is actually very nice, which is a huge upside. By the time of you people watching this video, I probably played this game about 30 minutes ago, which is helpful for me. It did take a long time for me to cope and how to learn how to use this tank again. If you are not a skilled player, if you have less than 10,000 battles, or you really just can't run medium tanks well, I would not suggest to buy this tank. It's very expensive. I think it's 17,500 gold for the bundle. Both of the tanks in the store are very, very hard to run. The penetration of this gun is very good, but since this tank just has so little armor, its camo rating is terrible, everything targets you. Pretty much right here I thought that Object 704 was going to high explosive me, but it didn't, and that shell derped, and the other shell actually goes in. This tank, it took me hundreds of battles to learn how to play this thing, and I still am not perfect in it. I do know people that know how to run this thing like a charm and do it flawless, but it's mostly because they non-stop play it. If you had me play this tank for 1 month and then stop for 4 months and play it again, I would not really do great in it. And that's the issue with the vehicle, is that if you're wanting to buy this tank to help improve your gameplay and get a bunch of credits, this is not the tank for you. This tank is just way too hard to play. Really, if you're not averaging over 1500 average damage per every game you play in any tier from 6 to 10, don't get it. And especially if you are not good at light tanks, this vehicle is just not really meant for the average player. I'm from Pramo, and I've played at least 30 games this day to get 3,500 damage games, which was really hard, and I wanted to get a mastery in it, but I just couldn't do it, and I couldn't motivate myself to spend that much time into this game just to get a mastery. I'd rather play more fun vehicles, and that is one of the issues with the Lorraine 40T. Now, credit earning wise, it does earn a bit of credits, but that is only if you have good games. When I play bad games in this tank, I do not earn the crazy amount of credits, which is a big downfall with this vehicle. You want to be able to earn a lot of credits and have fun while doing it. This tank requires a lot patience. You cannot rush in this vehicle. As you watch me play, you have to single out an enemy vehicle that is alone, you have to be reloaded, you have to plan an escape route. This vehicle, you have to think so many steps ahead of the enemy vehicle and hope that they're not thinking the same steps as you. And that is one of the hardships of getting a tank like this. Now you may be like, well, I can run a Gravedigger or an AMX 1390 or even a Batchat, fine. But the issue is that this tank takes 7.5 seconds to shoot off the clip and then 19.9 seconds to reload it. That is plenty of time to completely obliterate this vehicle. That T-26C4, if he were to target me and directly shoot at me when I'm smoking him out, he would be able to shoot one shell into me when I'm shooting him out, another shell into me after I've shot him, so that's 2 shells, and then be able to shoot me 4 more times as I'm running away. That is a lot of hit points. And the issue with this tank is just that you cannot run it aggressive. You have to camp. And I don't like camping in medium tank. People will yell at you for camping, and you can't tell them that this tank sucks because they probably don't own it. And that is just one of the many issues with this vehicle. The gun stats are okay. This vehicle overall is sort of like the Revelarice, where you have to know how to run tanks to run it well. As you can see, I'm shooting at that chieftain very, very far away, and I still got spotted through 2 bushes. And that is just absurd on how bad the camo rating is on this vehicle. To be honest, I do think Wargaming should buff this tank. I feel that the armor is either too poor, the camo rating is too bad, or I think that what they should do is buff the clip reload interval. Maybe they should make it 2 seconds between each shell, just to give this tank a little bit of an edge, be able to clip out somebody and get away. The difference is when you run a Batchat, you're able to clip out that person and get away very quickly. You saw just then I was able to high explosive the side of that Lorraine with a CDC gun. This gun has very little high explosive penetration, and I was still able to penetrate the side of the Lorraine. That's how weak this tank is. And that is why this vehicle is just so hard to run. It's this huge box that is just a shoot me sign all around. And this was one of the best games I played in it still, and it was only 3,000 damage when I could run a VK100P, T28 Defender I have a couple 5Ks in just today. There are so many better vehicles you could run and spend time on than this vehicle. It is just not worth it to play this tank. So my opinion overall is that if you're a very, very skilled tank player, I would suggest to get it, because this tank is actually fun once you learn how to adapt and use your abilities to your advantages. If you're a tank collector, sure, go ahead and get it. But if you are looking to get a tank to boost your skills and help you win games and get a great win rate, this is not the tank. I would not suggest to get it. It is overpriced, and frankly, it is too hard to run. Thanks for watching my video. If you do want to check out my Patreon, I will leave a link in the bottom below. Please support me. I'll see you guys in my next video.